So, inshallah, today we will have our last chapter in operations management, because the last chapter of operations management does not have a lot of information about operations management. We just want to wrap up the ideas and the concepts that we already discussed in the previous chapters. Today we will have what we call the performance management that we already discussed in the previous chapters. We will go a little bit deep in the performance management to find out what is the meaning of performance management and how can we measure the performance management. This is the performance management or improvement of the operations. And as you remember, we have this circle which is related to the operations management. And this circle, as you can see here, the circle is about operations management. It has four main concepts. The first one, which is the operations strategy, and we already discussed the operations strategy in the first and second chapters, I guess. And after that, we go to the design phase, which has a lot of ideas related to the design of the operation, the design of the network, supply network, and so on. And after that, we go to the planning and control, and we discuss the inventory planning and control. Today, we will have what we call the improvement of operations. What is the meaning of improvement? We will see now, inshallah, what is the meaning of improvement and what are the major types or the major ideas inside the improvement. By improving the operations management, we make all the processes in the operation, we make it better than if we cannot organize the operation. And also another thing is that we control the risk, and we manage the risk by stopping the processes that might harm or might stop the operations processes. These are the two questions that we will answer in this chapter. The first question is related to what information is needed for improvement. So we will see what are the major information that we need to improve our operations management, and then after that we will discuss the question of what are the key implementation issues. Okay, and finally there is one part which is not written here, which is the benchmarking, and we will see what is the meaning of benchmarking, what are the major types of benchmarking. When we discussed the performance management, we said at that time is that anything, if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. And here we will discuss this idea of improving by managing the operations. So the major idea here in the operation, in the improvement, is the performance measurement. We know that performance measurement, as we discussed it before, the meaning of the performance measurement is the process of quantifying the action. That means in the performance measurement, we quantify or we make some quantities to the actions of operations or the processes of the operations. So by quantifying the action or by quantifying the processes, we know exactly where we are in the operations, comparing to all the organization or comparing to other organizations. We know that we need to quantify or we need to make the actions to quantities in order to be able to compare those quantities or those operation processes to other processes inside the organization or to other processes in other organizations. That means we want to compare ourselves with the others, and we see exactly where we are. So if we cannot measure the performance, it will be impossible to exert the control over the operations, and this is also the idea that we discussed before, is that if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. So here the management means the control of the operations and managing the operations processes. Okay, here we have 4 types of objectives. The first, 4 levels of objectives. The first level is the board strategic measures, or board strategic level. And in the board strategic level, we have some objectives to overall aspects or issues of the organization. We discussed this idea also, that in the board level, or in the higher management level, we are not talking about deep information or deep processes inside the operations. We just talk or discuss the major ideas or the major objectives of the board of directors or the higher management. Because the higher management at the end of the day want something like increasing the profit or decreasing the cost, or something that they exactly understand and they care of. But this objective cannot be done without, as we said before, without disaggregate those objectives into smaller parts. And if you can see here the second level of the objectives, which is the functional strategic measures. And here we have 3 types of functional strategic measures, which is the market strategic objectives, which is related to the marketing department, and operations strategic objectives, which is related to operations management, and the financial strategic objectives, which is related to the financial department. Okay, and you have to know that these are not all the functional strategic measures that we have in any organization, because we have another type of measures. Like, for example, we studied what we call the human resource management, and here we can add the human resource management as functional strategic measures. Also, this will be the fourth functional strategic measures, which is the human resource strategic objectives. And then the third level of the measures, which is the composite performance measures. And these are some examples about any one of those one of those functional measures. Like, for example, in the market strategic objectives, we have one objective, which is the customer satisfaction. Okay, this is just an example measure. Okay, the fourth level. So we have 5 levels. Okay, the fourth level, which is the level of generic operations performance measure. Okay, and this is the one that we discussed before, and those are the 5 generic operations performance measure. If you remember, we discussed those 5 generic operations performance measures. Okay, and here inshallah we will have some details about those 5 operations performance measures. And those 5 operations measures, as if you remember, that it's the quality, the dependability, speed, flexibility, and the cost. So these 5 generic operations performance measures, you should know exactly how can we manage those 5 performance measures, and how can we measure them. Okay, like, for example, in the quality, we have some examples of measurements that we can use to find the quality. Okay, and the final level, which is related to some detailed performance measures, which is like the defects per unit. This level is related to measuring the 5 generic performance measures. So the quality, we can measure the quality by, for example, counting the defects per unit. How many defected units in the operations? Okay, and the more defected units, the more we need to take care of the quality. That if there is a lot of defects in the operations, that means the quality is not as good as we want. Other performance measurement example is by we can measure the quality by level of customer complaints. Okay, how many times our customers are dissatisfied or not satisfied of our products or services. And finally, the last example related to the quality, which is the scrap level. Okay, and the scrap level, if it was high, then the quality is bad. So we need to recheck the quality to make the scrap level down. Okay, the next generic performance measure, which is the dependability. We can measure the dependability, okay, by, for example, the mean time between failures. If we have a lot of failures in the operations, that means our products is not dependable. Okay, or for example, if our final products had a lot of failures with the customers, that means the products, our products are not dependable. Okay, and also the lateness compliance, which is related to the service, providing the service to the customer. The more time needed to serve the customers, the more the less our products or services dependable. The third generic operations performance measure, which is the speed. Okay, and the speed we can measure it by the customer query time. Okay, the longer time, that means we are slow in responding to the customers. And also the order lead time throughout, the order lead time. The order lead time means the time between the order and delivery of the products to the customers. Okay, the more this time, the more the less speed we have, or we are very slow comparing to other operations, to other organizations. Okay, the third example for the speed is this throughput time. Throughput time means the time of producing the final product. The fourth generic performance measure, which is the flexibility. And flexibility means how long we need to reach the market. This is one of the measures related to the flexibility. Okay, and also another example of measuring flexibility is the product range. How much we have in different product models or different product categories. Okay, and finally the cost. And we can measure the cost by what we call the transaction cost, okay, or by the labor productivity, or by machine efficiency. Those are the three main examples or three main detailed performance measures. Okay, so you need to understand the generic operations performance measures. Okay, that means the fourth level and the 5 level. Okay, so we have 2 levels that need to be understood. So this is the illustration of what we mean by the performance measures at different levels of aggregation. Okay, and this is okay. If we see this figure, it gives us an idea that if we go up, that means we go to the high strategic relevance and aggregation. okay, and down, which is the diagnostic power and frequency of measurement, and disaggregation. Benchmarking. What is the meaning of benchmarking? Benchmarking means, first of all, comparing our processes with others, or comparing our organization with other organizations in the same market, or sometimes in different markets, but they have the same operations or the same processes that we have. So these are the types of benchmarking, and you need to differentiate between those types of benchmarking. Okay, so the first type of benchmarking, which is the internal benchmarking. And the internal benchmarking related to comparing one process in our organization with other process in the same organization. So in the internal benchmarking, we are comparing two processes in our organization. Okay, and this is helpful in finding the problems in our organization. Okay, the second type of benchmarking, what we call it the external benchmarking, and the external benchmarking means that we compare one of the processes inside our organization with another process in another organization, okay, in different organization. That means we are not comparing all the organization, we just compare, like for example, we compare our operation department with another organization operation department, okay, and find the gaps or find the difference between our performance and the other organization performance. Okay, the third type of benchmarking, which is the non-competitive benchmarking, and this is related to comparing our organization with another organization that's not in our industry, not in our field. Okay, like for example, we compare between Jarir Bookstore, okay, and Al-Mara'i. Of course, Al-Mara'i is different organization than Jarir Bookstore, because the customers, the first organization, which is Jarir, is targeting different type of customers than Al-Mara'i, and they have different products than Al-Mara'i. Okay, so non-competitive benchmarking means that we compare ourselves with other organization that's not in our that's not in our market. Okay, or for example, we compare one organization with the same type of organization but in other country. Okay, this is another type of non-competitive benchmarking, because the other organization is not competing us in our market. It's not exist in our market, so it exists in another market. The next type, or the fourth type of benchmarking, which is the competitive benchmarking. Competitive benchmarking related to comparing our organization with another organization that similar to our organization. Next, the performance benchmarking, okay, is a comparison between the levels of achieved performance in different operations. That means here we compare between only the operations department or the operations functions in the two companies or two organizations. Okay, sometimes it's also related to the performance of other departments, not only the operations but other departments, but we compare between them in the performance point of view. Okay, we want to see which organization has better performance than the other. Okay, finally, the practice benchmarking, which is the comparison between an organization's operations practices or way of doing things and those adopted by another operations. Okay, so here we are comparing between like the policies and procedures. We are comparing between the practices of the organizations. We are not comparing between the real operation, like the performance benchmarking.